Welcome, everyone, participants and attendees. Thank you for joining us today for the opening reception of the S3A inaugural exhibition and symposium. Time for celebration. Even if you are, or should I say especially, if we are in a virtual gallery and not by choice. So here it is, hoping that for our next biennial exhibition, we will be together in an actual gallery reception. I am Simone Osthoff, Professor of Critical Studies in the School of Visual Arts and the Director of S3A. We are opening the gallery while literally putting the final touches on the exhibition. Our catalog just went live. So here's the plan for now. I will make a few remarks, then invite the 5, but I think we have 4 Penn State artists in the exhibition to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their work and the sessions they organized. Rebecca Strzelec will go first, then Yvonne Love. Nichole van Beek just got her shot and she's not feeling very well. Rudy Shepherd and Helen O'Leary. We'll save 15 to 20 minutes for questions at the end. So please use the chat or the Q&A. The symposium continues tomorrow and Saturday with an outstanding lineup of speakers, artists, scientists, educators, workshops, and more. You will hear from a total of 6 keynote speakers, 5 artists, and 1 scientist, in addition to contributions from Penn State colleagues, administrators, graduate and undergraduate students, and artists doing wonderful work in the US and beyond, in a total of 32 presentations. On Friday, our first keynote is Brandon Ballinger, who addresses the theme of care. In the afternoon, we'll have Future Farmers talking about food, Katie Houghton, cost. On Saturday, Saturday begins with Roberto Lugo talking about shelter. And after lunch, Stacy Levy speaks to water. It's nice to speak to water. Our last keynote, the scientist Michael Mann, will talk about climate. Today is Earth Day, and the 2021 theme, as you know, is Restore Our Earth. It suggests simultaneously a call for action and some optimism in a world ravaged by climate change, the pandemic, and social unrest. S3A is a small organization of artists, researchers, and educators originating in the School of Visual Arts and working in collaboration with the Altoona and Abington colleges. Over the last year, we stayed with the questions that don't have easy answers. The symposium grew out of those conversations, and we invite you today to participate in the process and help us envision future possibilities. For instance, Katie Houghton, in her Ocean Walk tomorrow, is asking us, how can we learn to be better lovers of the world? And on that note, I want to say thanks and acknowledge the university and a few special people. No one organizes an event of this scope without help and support. So before we hear from the artists, we thank Penn State for the Strategic Initiative Seed Grant that supported S3A for 2 years now. We are also eternally grateful for the time, commitment, and collaboration of Penn State colleagues from all areas of the university, including Abington and Altoona colleges, in the leadership of the Sustainability Institute. Our heartfelt gratitude to Steve Carpenter, the S3A founding co-director and the Dean of the College of Arts and Architecture. In the college, we further benefited from the expertise of the Associate Dean of Research, Malika Bose, and the Director of Sustainability, Mihan Kwan. In the School of Visual Arts, we thank Wagner Mendonça Whitehead and Tracy Mihalik, Financial Assistant. And last but not least, we acknowledge the vision and commitment of the S3A Curatorial Committee, Helen O'Leary, Shannon Goff, Kim Flick, Rebecca Strzelec, and Yvonne Love. In addition to the indispensable contributions of our tireless project manager, Alexandra Allen, our curriculum advisor, Angela Rothrock, our talented web designer, Daniel Bershevsky, and photo video intern, Melanie Devon, as well as the administrative assistant, Shali Zuniga. Thank you all. We put together a couple of slides for each of the artists, so bear with me, Rebecca. And after the opening today, the symposium conversations will begin with Rudy Shepherd and Brian Alfred at 7 o'clock. We look forward to that, so please stay with us. Let me find the PowerPoint. Okay. I need to share the screen, correct? All right. Can you see it?
No.
So, no?
No.
Okay.
Make sure that you click the share button at the bottom after you click on your PowerPoint.
I click the share first.
Then the PowerPoint, but then you have to share it again.
Okay, so then the PowerPoint's there, and then the share again. And now I keep getting something else. Do you see it?
No.
Oh, that's really sad.
No, it's blue. So you select the PowerPoint, and then in the bottom right corner, there's a blue button that says share.
Up.
On the pop-up, no?
Simone, do you have other windows open?
I do.
Okay, so sometimes I find it helpful to minimize things that I don't want to share because you might be selecting
Yeah,
something.
well, yeah, what's coming up when I click is the PowerPoint's there. And if I say, okay. All right, I think it's going on.
Yay.
Yay. All right. There's always a suspense, right? So here it is, our first artist, Rebecca Strzelec. Rebecca, I'm going to show 2 slides for you. And you want me to pause on the first? Would you like me to pause on the second?
You can start on the first. Thank you, Simone.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for attending this evening. And thank you to Simone and Alex for keeping this ship afloat. Most big things, as we know, working at Penn State move kind of slowly. So we've had our own version of hiccups for sure, but I think the things we're doing are important and I'm very proud to be a part of it, especially as we start to materialize things into documentation and evidence of our work in the form of the exhibition that we're celebrating this evening. The catalog is beautiful. We just got our first look at it moments ago, and I created this work to be a part of this show mostly because I was looking for an excuse to make this work. I make wearable objects out of 3D printing, and my objects are typically small. They're kind of human sized to be worn around the neck or the finger or near the ear. And I felt like this was an opportunity to investigate something that's kind of been on the to-do list, which is to repair my grandmother's desk. My gram, her objects were very important to her. And the day I was born, she put a piece of masking tape under this desk with my name on it because she wanted everyone to know it would be mine someday. And when I would visit her in St. Louis, Missouri, we would lay on our backs and look up under the desk and remind ourselves that it was mine. And so I always had this affinity to this desk, not because of how it looked or how it worked or anything, just because I knew it was something that would be handed to me, which felt very special and also a little weird. But when my gram died about 8 years ago, and I trekked out to St. Louis to bring home kind of a truckload of stuff, this desk was in those precious things. And it became a part of my home, and my kids were born and they grew up just thinking this desk was ours. And one day recently, we were having a dance party in the living room, which we do often. And one of them lost control of their body and didn't regain their balance and fell into this desk, knocking a chip off of the bottom shelf. And I lost it, frankly. You know, we don't really know how we keep grief until it comes back. It's not just a marker of time. It's actually an emotion that pops up when least expect it, like when your gram's desk gets hurt. And so as a jeweler, I made jewelry from a desk. And so what you're seeing here is evidence of that visible mended repair. On the first slide on the left, you see the full desk. On the bottom left of that desk, you see a patch. A close-up is on the image on the right-hand side here. This is wood-filled PLA. It's 3D printed from wood dust and naturally derived plastics. And instead of trying to repair the desk in such a way where I was pretending to be a furniture maker, I embellished the damage. I celebrated it. I put a very ornate, borrowing from the ornamentation of the desk itself, Band-Aid over that desk to kind of remind us of that point in time as a special memory, as opposed to something that was detrimental. Simone, you can go to the next one.
Why doesn't he want to go? Yes.
Oh, there we are. The work I'm wearing tonight is also from that desk. It borrows from the carved imagery on the desk to just signify pulling more data, more embellishment, more decoration from the surfaces of that piece of furniture. And then the image in the upper right is pulled from the same series of work about my grandmother, where I was taking one of her necklaces and repurposing it. I wore her jewelry every day for a year, even though as a jewelry maker, I don't wear much jewelry. I vowed to wear a piece every single day, and I did, no matter how hideous or heavy or hurtful it was. I suffered through it to give it its last day in the sun so that I could celebrate it in its new purpose in contemporary jewelry. So I was glad to be a part of this group so I could talk about care in this way by visibly mending my Graham's desk. Thank you.
Great. All right. I think I have to push the buttons right here. Yes. Yvonne, I'll show you the two images, all right? These are details. Should I stay the first or the second?
This one's fine.
Okay.
And just echoing all the thank yous to both Alex and Simone for getting the heavy lift of this event off the ground. It's really quite amazing. And really the last 2 years that we've spent together has been, really healing and binding. We've been meeting every week for 2 years. And in those, in the beginning, we were talking about sustainability and social action. And then it just feels like the whole world fell apart. And I know that some of these things have been happening for so long, but it just felt like it really cascaded down. And I was really grateful to be a part of this group to come to every week and kind of regroup. The work that I'm showing is not a completed work. It's intended to be an installation. And so it has not been formally installed anywhere at this point. These are slip cast porcelain bell jars. And this is part of my solo work. I do a lot of collaborative work, but this work really represents, I feel like, a pinnacle for me in looking at how I combine. My collaborative work really helps me to kind of push outside of my normal, comfortable boundaries and ask really difficult questions that are external, that really are about the environment. And my personal work is much more deeply personal and introspective. And in this piece, I feel like so many different things come together. So I was rereading, this is before the pandemic, I was rereading Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. I was rereading Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. That's where the bell jars come from. And I was also interviewing my 83-year-old father. I'm doing a series of interviews with him. He's a naturalist, and he has been making a daily check sheet of bird lists for the past 50 years. So we have these stacks, and he makes all kinds of notations in them. And so I've been, sitting with him, and in each page he has different stories, who he was with, what the weather was like. And I also keep a bird list, and he'll say, well, have you had any chickadees? Say, yeah, I've got some chickadees, Dad. What kind do you have? Carolina, black-capped, or are they the hybrids? And we're looking at how climate change is changing the ranges, and the two are becoming one. And so we're anticipating that climate change will actually delete the black-cap in Carolina and create this new hybrid. And so I'm in these pieces, I have words in there like powder down, which is, when the bird hits the window and leaves that beautiful angelic mark. It has words like leucism, and that's a partial loss of pigment in the birds. It has fright molt. Chickadees, if they get frightened, they will lose their tail feathers. And when they grow back, they're white. So there's this whole white sort of metaphor happening in the work. And this is really a collision and juxtaposition of all of the things that are kind of going on around me in these bell jars. That's it for me.
Thank you, Yvonne. The next artist I think we have is Nichole, and I'll show the work. I wish she was here with us. I hope she will feel better soon. And Nichole has, a wonderful range here of biomaterials. I don't want to talk for her, but there's a lot of information on the catalog. So I hope you guys are going to have a chance to look at it. We'll show it at the end. Rudy, I'm going to show you 2 images.
Okay.
This is the first. These are the second. Which one do you want me to stop on first?
You can hold on the second one. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Rudy Shepherd, faculty at the School of Visual Arts. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Simone, thank you so much for including me and my work in this conference.
Well, thanks for joining
Our
us.
work being, mainly focused on sort of social justice, and usually that being kind of in a separate category than, thinking about climate change and things of that nature. I feel like more and more as time is going on, the two are coming together, right? And being seen as like a combining forces. I think we all care about both things and don't see a point in separating them. So I really appreciate you taking that tact, and so my work these are portraits of Ahmaud Arbery on the left, Breonna Taylor in the middle, and George Floyd on the right. These are all portraits I made shortly after they were killed, and they're meant to be memorials for them, for me and for the people, anybody that sees it, for all of us to sort of take another moment and to look them in the eye and see them as human beings and really reckon with the loss, right? And like really think about what's at stake here. I've been doing this work for the past 14 years, and now seems to be a moment starting this summer where people really have a real interest in that, which is great. I hope it doesn't go away. I hope people don't go back to sleep and forget about this stuff that's happening all the time. But I sort of have taken it upon myself to, in a similar way to other artists here, to speak about this, to use my platform as an artist to make people rethink these people and their losses, these stories that sort of get simplified and characters get vilified, and to kind of represent these people as human beings in their fullness. So that's what I'm doing. The images you saw prior to this are sort of scenes from the news. There's that sort of body of work kind of goes along with all of this. Really picking out sort of poignant moments and again, representing them for us to think about. The image you see on the left is Eric Garner. When I saw this image, I was struck by, the story is that he was this big, scary guy that was so threatening that, they had to subdue him. But when you see this image, you realize like, wait a minute, there's 4 people. I think he's subdued, and it makes you really rethink in a way that if you just, like me, when I first heard the story on the news, it's easy to not really catch those details. And so these representations of these scenes are to really make us really think about what happened and why. So I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Helen, your images are a lot, and I love that you're so tiny in the middle there. Now let me show you the next one, and you tell me where to stop.
Okay.
That's the last.
All right, start at the first one.
Okay, all right.
And I put the kitchen sink in here, didn't I? Hello, everyone. I'm Helen O'Leary.
Yep.
And, this conversation started around our cyber kitchen table. It's been an incredible 2 years of talking about ideas, about our fear for the world, our solutions for the world, and our dreams for a better place. So it's been such a tremendous experience. And Anyway, thank you everybody for putting all this together and your tireless work, Alex and Simone. So mine is a project I've been working on for quite a while. And my work stems from a tradition, it's an Irish tradition of sean-nós singing. And it's a kind of song that is sung by a middle-aged voice that's as much about story as heart and history and ultimate healing. And it's not so much about having a fabulous voice. It's not so much about, it's really about redress, about explaining what happened and then ultimately a redress. So I started this project right after not the last election, but the other election before it. And I wanted to make my own museum. I wanted to make my studio a museum. So with Dan Harris, my partner, we looked to our immediate surrounds and we collected scrap from Craigslist. And we built, if you see that tiny image on the bottom, that's what it finished with. 80% of this was made from waste, from trips to other people's houses. And it was an incredible experience because obviously we didn't know the political persuasion of our benefactors. So we started this idea of relying on other people's goodness, you know, and we met a lot of amazing people. And so the image on the right is where I looked to my own waste. I looked to the kind of edits and continual edits of my own work. And you can see my little sieve on the left. And I wanted a painting that could pull itself out of waste, pull itself out of its own history and remake itself. I chronicle my local environment for dyes, for pigments, and much like reliquaries where you might find a bit of dried blood or you might find, a bit of scraping from a penis or something. And it obviously talks about the saint that it belonged to. My pigments are from places that I visit, places that are damaged by industry, damaged by poverty, damaged by hatred, history. So I've been collecting my own palette as well as, building my own museum, which is an archive. If you could move to the next slide for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea of having a living museum is something I was thinking about, and it's not finished yet. There's a chance it might never be finished, but I'm out here in Pennsylvania now. The building is in Jersey City and I will be moving back soon, but I wanted everything to be from waste or found within my immediate surroundings. So really it's kind of a history painting of sorts, which is both shelter, it's both container. The crates are both paintings. Sometimes the crates act as a painting, act as storage, act as care, act as nurture, act as restoration. So that's my project. And it's very much a living museum that's in progress. This idea of decolonizing the museum, of creating my own archive. It has a spirit that I think I was raised on, this idea of autonomy and independence and ultimately care. So there you go. That's my project.
Wonderful. Thank you. And it's been really a great experience, I have to say, to follow the work. And I've been following Helen a little bit closer, but to get to know, the work of all of you. I mean, Helen and Rudy are the ones that I followed a little bit closer. It's been really wonderful. And the amount of work to put together the exhibition and the symposium has been much more than we could ever anticipate. That's why we start. We don't know what you're getting into, right? But it's been so rewarding. It kept us going, and we're learning, and we are super excited about the making of it, the process of it's been really enriching, and we know how rare those opportunities are. So I'm very thankful as well. I believe we have a few questions. Is there any comments you want to make about each other's first, or should we go to the questions?
I wanted to pick up on something, if it's okay, before we go, maybe change subjects.
Yeah, just 1 second, Rudy. I think.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Alex. I didn't mean to cut you off, Alexandra.
I was just going to say Nichole and she can hear us and speak about her artwork. We just won't be able to see her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Did we do it? Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Nichole. Do you want me to put up your images again?
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry, I've had a little trouble signing in, but I'm here.
Okay. Let me share this screen. Bear with me, guys. I'm just going to go back. Here you are, Nichole.
All right, thank you.
I'll show the two images I have for you, 3 paintings, and then 2 different ones.
Yeah,
Which
you
one
can
do you want me to stop at? The first or the second?
The first is fine.
First, fine. Okay, here you are.
Yeah, so thank you again for having me here. It's great to be part of this. I'm sorry I missed some of it trying to finagle Zoom, but I'm here. So these paintings for me are, it's really important that they are a move away from acrylic paint, which I had been working with pretty exclusively for about 10 years and probably throughout my whole life. So I started to work with these botanical dyes and inks when I came to Penn State a year and a half ago. And I was just looking for a way to move away from acrylic because it's primarily kind of plastic based and also uses a lot of extractive mineral pigments. And what I love about the botanical dyes is that they can be grown locally and they are regenerative. So they can be kind of incorporated in a healthier local system for finding materials. And a lot of these dyes are made from foraged inks that I made, foraged plant materials that I found around in State College. I think obviously this is a small gesture. You know, if every artist stopped using acrylic paint, it wouldn't change much in the world. But what I think is significant about it is just being able to talk about materials and where they come from and where they go at the end of their life. So bringing in that discussion of the stuff that we buy, the stuff that we consume, hopefully opens up larger questions, you know, about how to reduce consumption and be more mindful of the energy that we're using in the production of that stuff. Simone, you can change it to the next image. So what I also love about the botanical inks is that the colors are very much alive. So I've noticed that my shift in feeling towards acrylic paint is really dramatic. I feel like the colors are static. And that's something that's usually thought of as a benefit for paints, that they would last forever and be the same forever and never change. And that's something that people always ask me with these inks is, you know, are they fugitive? Will they last? And I've had to sort of reframe it as being a benefit, that they do change. They're not fixed. And so to me, they feel very much like you're seeing something fresh, you know, when it's made, and then it changes over time. And it's something really beautiful about that. So going forward, I'm excited to sort of work more with that changing color palette. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Nichole. All right, so Rudy, if you want to go back to where you were.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to pick up on something, Helen, words that you use that I definitely relate to. The first one you said was healing, which is definitely something I think about a lot, and just didn't happen to say in my 5 minutes. But the other thing was history painting, right? And I was just thinking it's good. It's kind of great that Nichole jumped in, was able to talk about hers, and just thinking about the way the three of us might be approaching that, but just like in a different way than was previous, you know, than the French Renaissance or something like that. But like, there's other ways of archiving this moment, right? And like capturing it, all the things that are going on. And I just, you know, it was just an exciting idea that, it's, you know, feeling some resonance with.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rudy. You know, I was thinking about, I've always thought about history painting in a very different way, that I wanted to fracture it and re-see it through my eyes, through my class, through my gender. And yeah, I never made those links before, but absolutely. And landscape painting. I was thinking about the history of landscape painting, of naming, of owning, and the kind of historical nature of that, and how we approach it through, how Nichole and I approach it through plants, through dye, through walking, through looking, and through history.
Origin. Mhm. Cool. I think we have a few questions. Did you look at them, Alex?
Yeah, we just have a comment from Michaela about environmental racism combines these issues, Rudy.
Mhm. Environmental justice. Yeah, things are becoming a lot more integrated. And it was actually the first challenge when I started thinking about both, like, where do they cross? How do we cross them? But I think we are understanding them as one big problem. And that's another challenge for the artists, I think, and getting into the scale of this whole challenge. Scale is such a fundamental thing in art, and we know that for any artwork. So how can we go from, the scale of geological scale of climate change to our personal lives? And I think that's what all of you are doing, like bringing it to the human scale, and understanding nature as human nature as well as, what is it? So there are very interesting, I think, questions that as we work, become a little bit, maybe open up to other ones. All right, Alex, anything else?
No, I think that's it as far as questions, but we definitely encourage you guys to type those in the Q&A or in the chat for us. We're happy to have a conversation for the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
I was just going to say, sorry.
I just read the chat. There's a few things there. We have a raised hand from Julia. And then
there we go. Sure, go for it.
Julia, yeah, she'll be presenting, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow. Kaisdorf, she'll be presenting with Steve Rubin, and they've been working with fracking in Pennsylvania, collaborating. It's a pretty amazing collaboration. So I don't know if she's there. I don't know how to assess the.
Oh, wait, maybe we need to unmute her.
How it goes, or we just read the question if there is a question. I don't think, I can't see her. I can see the guest.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, there she is. Yeah. Oh. Okay, there's a hand. Can you get her sound on, Alex?
I asked her to unmute.
She can talk now if she wants to.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, we are all waiting for you.
We're deep into the technology now.
I know. It's the rabbit hole.
I think Julia, we've given you permission to speak. You have to now unmute yourself, I think.
Nothing happens. Good suspense. So both Alex and Parth, can you guys help us?
I was just, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you guys are right. I mean, Julia just has to unmute herself now.
I can fill a little void of time here, but just thinking about, my work is so much about humans' effect on the environment, but really it's the same driver in both issues. It's how we approach everything, whether it's people or the environment. And I'm not really sure how we change minds. And Simone, you're talking about scale. And I'm just thinking that at this moment in time, the scale of both just is becoming bigger and bigger. And as artists and being sensitive people, it's crushing. Like, my work is so much about response, and I want to respond, to George Floyd, and I have some work about that too. And I'm responding to everything at once, and it's just so overwhelming. That's the scale for me at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a very hard year, no doubt, But on the other hand, I think we are all much more aware of how these things, correct? The world is so interconnected, and how we cannot address one thing without talking about another. And I think it's also something that will help us collaborate across disciplines, right? It's the same thing. How do we talk across, how do we find language? How do we and why do we do it, right? Because we've been in traditionally in our own disciplines and silos, you become an expert, so you have a very focused right area of that you know a lot about. But once you start getting across disciplines and collaborating and trying to address, dealing with science and data from other fields and mixing that in your studio, there's a lot of very interesting things that start to happen. And I think, like I say, this is new for me. I'm starting here,
I definitely feel that way with a deeper look into materials. So just moving from, something that I could pick up in the store, in the art store, or from Blick or something like that, to something that I have to grow brings in a whole wealth of new knowledge. And then thinking about how do you measure, let's say, the energy use or the greenhouse gas emissions in the materials you're using, brings in all other sets of knowledge. So I feel like for me, it's definitely been an opening up of interdisciplinary study that's really interesting. And I would love to continue with that.
For sure.
I think for me, the unpicking of mega narratives has been something I've been addressing for a long time. And right now, it seems like we're unraveling everything, and everything has to be unraveled. So, and we're all doing it across disciplines. And that's the beauty of the world, this content-rich world we're living in, we are unraveling and rebuilding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, I was going to say too, similar to what you were saying, Simone, about the silos, I think it becoming less and less relevant for somebody to just sort of work in one area and then just ignore everything else.
Specialize completely, right?
Yeah, and like not be able to weave it in into context with everybody else. And that's not to say, as artists, we're all artists here doing a presentation, that each one of us has to cover all the ground, but I think that we as human beings have to be aware of all the other things and participate in other ways, right? We may not make work about George Floyd, but maybe we're out in the street protesting. You know what I mean? I just see that so much nowadays, where people may do one thing as their quote unquote work, but that's not just the scope of what they care about or what they get involved in their communities and, speak up about. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and I wonder what it does for the students too, Rudy. This is such a different context from when we went to school and what we were looking at, right? And you think of the young people right now, and I imagine that they will do things that we couldn't even imagine, right?
Yeah, the interconnecting things, right? And being able to sort of make connections that we might have missed earlier on. Absolutely.
For sure. Would you guys like me to show the catalog really quickly, or yes? Is this a good time? Okay, let's share this screen again. Let's see, I have to find my browser here. Where's the catalog? I don't want OneDrive. Bear with me for a second. I need to minimize some things here. Okay. Not that. Okay, I guess we have the catalog. Let me enter full screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
So, yes, so here we have the 10 artists in the exhibition. And I say again, wish we was an actual exhibition and we were there together, right? Let's see if I can move this way, yes. So the introductory text is by me. I hope you have time to read it. Let's see, and I write a little bit about all the artists and some of the issues that we are addressing. Brandon Ballinger, they are organizing alphabetically. Brandon's work, you'll hear from it tomorrow morning. Future Farmers, I think it's tomorrow afternoon. And Amy Franceschini is going to talk for me and address seed banks. Katie Houghton is she tomorrow, Helen? Tomorrow?
Saturday, I think Saturday.
Yeah, I have to look at the.
No, it is tomorrow. Excuse me. It's tomorrow. Sorry.
The third one tomorrow. She's going to do a walk at the ocean front. She's at the Pacific coast. Stacy Levy will address water. So the left side of the pages is a bio, a more comprehensive bio, and then some details and specifics on the materials of each work. You just heard from Yvonne, Roberto Lugo, Helen O'Leary, Rudy, Rebecca. So nice to hear the story of the desk, Rebecca. Nichole. And we're missing the last page, which will come soon. So I hope you have time to, this is in the website of the S3A under symposium. You pull the menu down, there's catalog. So we're very happy that it's done. There's a few adjustments, but it's like we're painting the little corners of the wall as we go here. But we have it. So thank you all for contributing. It's been a little bit of a running a marathon, but glad we did it, right? Anyone else wants to say anything? No? So maybe we can take a little break and start again at 7 o'clock with, join again at 7 with Rudy. Does that work, Alex? Do I? No, I think Alex is the one
Michaela
who
has her
started.
hand raised. Oh,
She did?
I will,
yeah.
I'll end the meeting and then and let Rudy come back in as host for the next one. So if we don't have any questions, we're okay to adjourn early if that's fine with everyone.
Does Michelle have a question? I see her hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to unmute Michaela.
Yeah, hi.
Works.
I want to mention that Chasmin Bozeman was died obviously at a very, very young age, tragically. And he grew up, I looked up online where he was from, and he was from a Superfund site. He grew up, I'm forgetting the state now, it's North Carolina, I forget where it was, but the town that he lived in and grew up in has horrendous toxins in the water and the land and the air. And that's an example of the environmental racism that is just has destroyed for a couple of hundred years the African-American community and multiple communities across the country.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, Michaela. Anyone else? No? Well, I want to thank all of you for good thoughts, good work, for joining us, for working with us, for the effort, and let's celebrate Earth Day and keep working forward because there's much to be done, as we all know, right? All right, Alex, whenever you're ready, you can stop the webinar. We'll join Rudy in a few minutes. Thank you, Alex. You are the one behind the scenes here that we all should, bow to.
Thanks, Alex, and thanks,
Yeah,
for
thank you very much.
technical support.
Yeah, thank you,
See you
Parth, for
soon.
being there too.
No problem. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks all.